I'm Sarah Hinches, and today I'm going to show you some different massage techniques and self-care techniques. You'll notice that I've got some different props here with me, and you certainly don't need to have anything fancy, but if you do have 2 tennis balls, you can steal them from your dog, for instance, or any other kind of ball that works for you. If you have a foam roller, that's great as well. If not, I do highly recommend it. I got this one on Amazon. I don't remember how much it was, but it was pretty reasonably priced. And unlike some other foam rollers, this is actually a pretty soft one, so this is feel great. And you can see it's a little bit softer foam. The ones that are black are a little bit harder, or actually quite a bit harder. And it's really just your preference. I like the slightly softer material. You'll also find some that are ridged, and some of them are softer and some of them are harder. The ridges have nice other kind of pressure points, and again, that might be a preference as well. So whatever tools really work for you are the ones that are the best ones to use. Whenever we do any of these techniques, it's really important to listen to your body and to see how the techniques feel. We want it to feel good, and we want maybe just a gentle tension, but we don't want any pain. If something's painful, you really want to back off of it, or you want to choose a different option and do something a little bit differently. It's also good to kind of start to recognize the difference between good pain and bad pain. So something might hurt, but not hurt in a bad way, but hurt in that way that you can feel you're working something out. So a lot of these techniques, again, we can put as much or as little pressure into them as we like. And again, if it's something that's hurting in a bad way, we don't want to do it. Just choose something different, or take that pressure off a little bit and make it a little bit easier. So the first thing that we're going to do is a technique that I got from Bo Forbes, and she calls it football, and it's a myofascial release. And we do it with a tennis ball. So we're just going to grab that tennis ball. And when we do this, we can bring a hand to a wall for support or grounding, or we can find a little bit of balance. You can have your full arm on the wall and hand on a chair. Again, those are just things to help you, just tools to help you. So we're going to spread the feet on our supporting leg, and there's a lot of different ways that we can do football. So we'll start by just bringing the ball underneath the foot, and again, as much or as little pressure as you like there. The upper body is just relaxed, and the whole time that we're doing this, again, slight bend in the supporting leg, keeping that knee safe, and we're continuing to just breathe, nice deep inhales, in through the nose, out through the nose, and just letting that upper body, the entire body, just relax. So as we press into that tennis ball, again, as much or as little pressure as you like, we might find a little forward and back movement, or a little side to side movement, or little circles. We might come underneath the toes, or underneath the ball of the foot. When I come underneath the ball of my foot, I often find little crunchy spots. So that's the fascia that's adhered, and we're breaking into the fascia. We're hydrating it, loosening it, releasing it. So you can find that spot, and you can work through that spot, or you can also find this as kind of a more of a full foot massage. So again, just talking about some of the different places that we might focus on. We might find that inner arch, again, a little forward and back, or little circles. We might come along that outer arch, the outer edge of the foot, again, forward and back, or little circles. We might find that edge where the ball of the foot meets the center of the foot, the middle arch, and we might find that spot. We can gently press in or keep the rolling. And with the press in, again, finding as much or as little pressure, and we can move that along the arch from the inside to the outside, or from the outside to the inside. We can also find the spot where the arch meets the heel, and we can do the same thing there, again, forward and back or side to side, or we can gently press in and move across the ball of the foot. Again, as I mentioned before, really listening to your body, finding what feels good to you. If you have any foot problems like plantar fasciitis or other conditions, you might, of course, consult with your physician. Generally, this is really good for those kinds of foot problems, but again, we don't want to exacerbate those problems with too much pressure or too much football work. We might also roll the heel, the edge of the heel. And we want to keep breathing the whole time. And again, just finding what's feeling best for us in the moment. Continuing to breathe. As we do football, we might do nothing else at all, focusing on the breath and on the foot and on the sensations we find. Or we might add some fingers, some hands, some wrist circles. Again, always finding what's feeling best to you in the moment. If we find our focus down on that foot, we might just change the gaze, turning the head a little side to side. Little figure eights, or look up to the sky to call it the daydreamer. So generally with any of this tennis ball work, you want to do that for as long as you need, as long as it feels good. And a lot of times, again, if you're listening to your body will say, all right, that's enough. For now, we're just going to set that ball to the side and just spread both feet on the earth and just take a moment to notice how the feet feel. Always as witness, but not judge when we check in. And maybe noticing the difference between the foot that we just rolled and the one we have not yet rolled. You might even walk around a little bit. You can kind of spring in your step and see how that feels. Rock the foot forward and back. And when you're ready, we'll take that to the other side. Same thing here. Again, slight bend in that supporting leg. And then taking that ball underneath the foot, finding where that feels good to you. Again, as much or as little pressure as you would like. Finding that forward and back or side to side or little circles. And when you get to that second foot, you might notice that what your foot needs on this side is different than what the other foot needs. You might be a little bit more acquainted with those sensations after the first foot. And again, finding where that feels good to you, as much or as little pressure as you like. I'll say that when I first learned this football technique, I absolutely fell in love with it, and I try to do it every day. Not every day, but as much as I can. I do incorporate it into all of my yoga classes now as well. And I find that the same thing goes for the participants in my yoga classes, is that they tend to really love football, ask for football, and it gets to be something that if we don't do football, they really miss it. And as we've been missing yoga classes generally, I notice people say one of the things they really miss is football. It is also kind of one of those love it or hate it things. So if you're doing this, sometimes the first few times you do it, you might not get it. And then maybe all of a sudden it just clicks for you and you realize, oh, that's what football is all about. That's why all the kids are talking about it. But really, again, it's always finding the techniques that are best for you. So again, as much or as little pressure, we can press in, we can curl the toes over the ball. We can press one toe at a time into the ball. We can find a spot that needs a little bit of extra attention and care. We can find the ball of the foot, inner outer arch, heel, where the arch meets the heel, or where the arch meets the ball of the foot. Again, that nice technique of those little presses across the foot. So while this is a really nice self-massage technique and that myofascial release work as well, it's also a good technique for learning to listen to your body, learning to notice boundaries and keep safe and comfortable boundaries for yourself, whether those are physical or mental. Again, as we find that football work, we might wiggle the fingers or circle the wrists. We might find little hand mudras, little yoga poses with the hands, nice stretches. You can make up your own, anything you like. Again, just letting the upper body be relaxed. And never forgetting that breath, which continues to expand and open, maybe bringing that breath from the lungs down into the rib cage, down into the belly, letting that breath expand and open into the lower body. And again, if we find ourselves looking down, we might just change the gaze or turn the head. Relax the shoulders if they start to creep up toward the ears. And again, just breathing and relaxing here. So again, you can do football as long as you like. You can have that hand to ground or for balance on the wall or on a chair. And then whenever you're ready, we'll just set that ball to the side. Again, maybe finding mountain pose again. Let those knees be slightly bent. And then just loosen up the shoulders, bend the knees a few times. Take a couple deep breaths and just find that mountain pose, strong and stable. Maybe noticing how the feet feel more connected to the earth after that football practice. So the tennis balls can be used not just for football, but for other self-massage techniques as well. So I'm just going to review a few of them, and you can play with them as much as you like. Again, most important to remember to listen to your body to see what feels good to you, to put as much or as little pressure into that tennis ball as you like. So again, a lot of different things we might do. The same that we did with the feet, we can do with the hands and the wrists, and we can do just one tennis ball at a time. Again, that little forward and back, side to side, or little circles under the hand and wrist, or we can do both at the same time. And again, we want to continue to breathe and sit however we're comfortable. You can always bring that to the elbow. You can always bring the knees to a folded blanket if that's too much on the floor. So in addition to the wrists, the hands, we can roll into the forearms. Another thing to remember here is that we want to be between the bones. So we don't want to be rolling right on our bones, but again, right along inside or outside. And we can roll the top of the arm. I really like this one, kind of gets into that nice little tense spot there on the forearm. So again, anything with these that feels good to you. Always breathing through that work. We can also do seated, and so I have a very nice bolster, but you can also fold a blanket and sit on it, or you can just sit on the floor as you're comfortable. And we can take that tennis ball and we can bring it along the base of the neck. And again, gently finding where that feels good to you. Again, that can be a little forward and back, a little side to side, or little circles. And we can find right in the front, collarbones, finding any of those little spots of tension. And we want to do just one side at a time with the tennis balls. And again, we want to breathe nice, deep inhales and exhales. You can bring that into the side of the neck or into the upper trapezoid, lower base of the neck. Again, we can do both sides. And I'm working through these techniques rather quickly just to show them to you. It's something that once you start to do this practice, I've done this in workshops where we'll get down on the floor and we'll just start exploring this tennis ball work, or I do it on my own at home. And you spend an hour and a half, no problem, just breathing with nice relaxing music that you enjoy. And it is absolutely a self-care technique. So again, we can roll into the neck there, anywhere that feels good. You can also roll into the front of the shoulder, into the pec, into the spot on the chest here, which is a good spot. And again, just kind of rolling that and breathing. Again, whenever we do one side, we always want to do the other side, and preferably taking a small break and a couple breaths between each side. So again, can work into the front of the shoulders like so. Can also work this into the side of the leg, and again, in between the bones. A lot of times I hold a lot of tension along the shin bone here. So again, can kind of come into that and roll on the side. Maybe easier off of the bolster. Usually I sit on the floor when I do this. So again, just another nice spot that we can do there. And again, always doing both sides. If you do that different technique, you can also roll, but it's a little bit easier to use gravity and your body weight to get a little bit deeper into that roll. So again, those are a few other techniques that we can do with the tennis balls. Another really nice thing that you can do, and you can do this, of course, not really traveling right now, but if you were traveling on a plane or in a car, you can use these and you can sit on them. So not really on the bolster, but you can bring those right underneath the glutes, and you can just sit on the tennis balls. You can kind of wiggle that and work into that side outer hip and glute. My favorite thing to do with the tennis balls is the work on the upper back. So this can be done against a wall, and it's a little slippery sometimes on the wall and a little bit difficult to coordinate two tennis balls as you learn to do this. So you can always do one at a time. So if you find a lot of tension in the upper back, the trapezoids into the shoulder blades, this is really a great technique. So I like to do it on the floor because, again, I can put more of my body weight into that work and I can work deeper into it. The wall lets you get used to it and lets you also see how that pressure feels for you. And if the pressure on your back on the floor is too much, you can always switch to the wall, and again, you can use one or both tennis balls. So a couple different spots that we might target. So as we bring the tennis balls to our back, we might place the tennis balls right there in those two little triangles, the trapezoids, at the base of the neck and the top of the back. And when we do that, one thing that we can do with them is just to lay back, place that tennis ball underneath the trapezoid, place that other tennis ball. And again, this might be way too intense, and if so, you can just remove those tennis balls. Or again, just laying there, putting some pressure, and just breathing through that pressure. You can also bring the feet together, open the knees, bottoms of the feet together into reclining butterfly or reclining bound angle, and just put that pressure there. As we breathe here, just relaxing, you can kind of wiggle the shoulders if that is not too much pressure, too much intensity for you. Another thing we might do is to lift the arm off of the floor and move it around. Again, all of those techniques are going to add some intensity, so you want to choose what feels best for you. Again, I'm showing these techniques quickly. You want to just relax and take some time with them. Another really nice one to release any tension is to keep one under the trapezoid where we had it, and then place the other one underneath the back of the arm, right at the bottom of the armpit where the arm meets the side, and then just open that arm. And usually with these techniques, you'll go, I'm not sure. You'll move the ball a little bit, and then you'll be like, aha, yes, that is the spot. And again, that can just open and just let gravity and your body weight do the work for you. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. You can add a slight wiggle to that, or it can lift and move that arm around. So again, that's a really nice one, a spot that's really hard to get otherwise. And again, always want to do that on both sides. My other favorite thing to do here is to bring the tennis balls back underneath, but then to move them down into the upper back, into the shoulder blade area. Again, we're avoiding the actual bones, so we're looking for those spaces in between. Again, this is a really good one to do against the wall to start to test that pressure. Otherwise, just kind of lifting the hips and sliding the balls down the back. Again, two tennis balls might be a little bit to manage, but just starting to move around with that. Immediately when I start to do this, I hear that crack and pop sound. which again, if it feels good, then keep doing it. If it doesn't feel good, you want to stop. And that's, again, that fascia breaking up. Our fascia tends to adhere, especially when we have repetitive motions or a lack of motion, can get really tight. And just moving through that really starts to help to break it up. And again, we can move up and down as we like, lifting the hips to increase pressure or to roll to a lower spot. And again, always want to find what feels good to you. Continue to breathe. And again, can move that. Just taking time to explore and see what feels best to you. Whenever you're ready, just gently coming up, releasing the tennis balls. When we sat on the tennis balls before, you can also do something similar here, bringing the tennis balls underneath that outer glute and hip. And again, just positioning them as you like, and then opening the knees, bottoms of the feet together. And again, just breathing there, always finding what feels best to you. While we're here, another nice technique that you can do just on the mat with a folded up blanket, or you can do this legs up the wall, so you can come to a wall and place that blanket against the wall. Or if we're here, we're just lifting the hips, we're sliding that blanket underneath the hips. And this might just be a nice position to stay here, hands on the belly, breathing, or palms face up, breathing. Notice we're always breathing. Or the legs up the wall, or just that simple inversion. The blanket's nice because it lifts the hips a little bit, so it should be a nice comfortable position. And again, we can just breathe here. If we're bringing that blanket to the wall, we bring the blanket to the wall, and then just bring one foot at a time to the wall, scoot closer, and then extend the legs up the wall. On the wall or here can also open into a straddle if that's comfortable. Hands can support outside the thighs, or you can put a little pressure on the inner thighs. You can point and flex. And again, you can just breathe here. The simple inversion is something that a lot of people think if you do this once a day, you can really increase your energy throughout the day. And again, just nice and easy, bringing the feet back down to the earth, lifting the hips, sliding that out. And again, then just pausing to see how you feel. Again, continuing to breathe throughout all of these movements. Another nice thing that you can do with the blanket, which could be just like this and folded underneath us, and then having that underneath the upper back instead of the lower back, and then just opening the arms and relaxing here. So this is a version of fish pose. It lifts the chest a little bit. With the blanket like this, again, it's just a little bit of elevation. We can also do a slightly different technique with the blanket. And so instead, we're going to make it into a kind of tube, like so. And this is rather short and bigger. So depending upon your blanket and the way that you're rolling it, you can roll it in different ways to make this whatever shape and size you would like it to be. And then we bring that perfectly rolled roll to the mat. And then we take that and bring the edge of it to the tailbone. And then just nice and easy, lay back the spine along the blanket. Here you can see it's supporting the head. And then again, just opening the arms out here. Letting the feet relax if that's better, or keeping the legs straight and toes pointed. Again, a version of supported fish. You can always move up the blanket a little bit if that feels better, or down the blanket if that feels better. So again, finding that position where it feels best for you. And again, opening and letting the lungs continue to open and expand. And again, just staying there as long as you like. And then when you're ready to come out of it, bringing one foot at a time to the floor. And then just gently rolling off of that blanket and coming back up to the center. So again, those are a few techniques that we can use the blanket for. There are, of course, many others. And also with the foam roller, so again, a lot of different things we can do with the foam roller, but I'll show you a nice couple things here. So one is to bring that foam roller, and we always want to be careful when we come onto that foam roller, so I like to bring my hands behind it so that I can lift up and then onto the roller. And then we can roll through the low back here. Nice and easy little forward, backward movements, making as much range of motion as feels good to you. So again, that can be just that little forward and back, or we can cross the ankle, turn the hip a little bit, and then here we can work more into that outer hip and glute. This is a really nice one if you have tight hips or if you're doing a lot of walking. So again, lots of different techniques that we can do with the foam roller, and it's really just what feels best to you. Lots of different videos that you can access. So again, that little low back or that outer hip and glute. Then also a nice one, so that tennis ball work that we did, it got really intense into those small little spaces. The roller here helps to just kind of press and even everything out and roll along the spine, which is again what we don't want to do with the tennis balls. So bringing it to the upper back, kind of right underneath the shoulder blades, and then just opening the arms. I like to bring my hands behind my head, but again, it's where you're comfortable. And you can kind of just open the chest and roll back, spreading the elbows, lifting the chest, and then you can lift the hips and kind of roll forward and back. Again, that's your range of motion, continuing to breathe, again, listening to your body and how that feels. And again, that helps to just roll through the tension in the back. And again, continuing to breathe. Another thing that you can do with that foam roller, which is a really nice chest stretch and pec stretch, is to bring that roller to the side. You notice my blanket's here, so that can be underneath my ankles if I like. And then just bringing that roller right up to the chest, and then just bringing the arm, and that arm can just relax here. You can kind of roll side to side or shift the shoulder up and down. And just breathing through that stretch. This is a really nice one for tight shoulders. And when we treat the upper back, we often forget the front of the body. And so this can help to balance out the front and the back. And again, just continue to breathe. So again, those are some techniques that you can do with the foam roller, with the tennis balls. It's something that you can explore and play with. Again, always remembering those rules that I gave you. The last thing that I'm going to show you is some self-massage techniques. And again, I like to sit on my bolster, or you can sit on the blanket. And again, just sitting comfortably. So I learned these self-massage techniques at a yoga retreat that I attended through Sea Change Yoga. And I've been practicing this for about a month now, and it's pretty amazing. I feel so much better, so much less chronic pain as a result of these techniques, especially now since I can't see my massage therapist and I see my chiropractor less often. So I do these with coconut oil, but I'm going to show you just the techniques dry here. But the oil is really nice. I have really dry skin, and I've noticed that the oil really is helping to keep my skin more hydrated and soft. And it also works that oil down into the deeper layers of the skin, and it's something that's really nice and healthy to do. I use coconut oil, and it's hard when you get it, and then you rub it and warm it up in your hands. I've also used body butter, which was nice until I got the coconut oil and found out I liked that much better. And just regular lotion can work as well, though you get a lot less of the fluid, smooth movements with lotion, and lotion tends to get absorbed much more quickly, whereas the oil doesn't, and you can really move that. So it's something that I highly recommend trying, and if you want to try that 30-day challenge with it and see how it feels, then you can do that. So again, I'm going to show these dry techniques, and I'm going to show them rather quickly. When I do this full routine that I'm showing you, I usually spend a half an hour doing it. But again, I'm going to show you the techniques rather quickly and then ask you to try them yourself. And of course, the less clothing you have, the better when you use the oils. So again, you would get some of the oil, throw it between the hands and warm it up. And the first thing that you do is to work that into the scalp. And so it's just little kind of circular motions, bringing the fingertips up to the scalp, to the hairline, to the part in your hair. And just forward and back, side to side, little circles, and just moving that out from the center, out and down, out and down, out and down. And again, you can just really, wherever that feels good, just working that oil into the scalp. And again, as long as you like with that. And then more oil, and taking that to the face, to the forehead, a little outward, up and out motions, up and out motions. You can bring that down into the temples, beneath the eyes and above the eyes. Want to get that full face down into where the jawbones meet, up underneath the nose, upper lip, to the lips as well, underneath, and just working that massage in. You can have little kind of like claws working, especially this area right underneath the eyes, right above the eyes. You can have again that forward and back. You can work through the third eye. If you wear glasses like I do, it's really nice to take the glasses off and just massage the bridge of the nose. You can make little circles around the eyes, both directions. You can do little figure eights around both directions. So again, just playing with that, seeing how it feels to you. Really good to get into the front of the ears and then up behind the ears. And then as you start to work that down, maybe more oil, front of the neck, working down the back of the neck. I have a lot of tension in the base of the skull and the neck, so I like to come back up into the skull or into the scalp and work down along this back ridge from the occipital lobes here up to that kind of bump on the back of the head and down behind the ears and down into the neck, into the sides of the neck. Can tilt the head and work into the neck and up into that trapezoid. And again, just working that oil, front of the neck, back of the neck, bringing that down. As we work down lower into the body, you can come into the shoulders and you can breathe, continue to breathe all throughout this. You can tap down the arm as you breathe. You can do that 3 times on the front of the arm, the back of the arm, and then we'll slide through. Again, always doing that on both sides. Again, continuing to breathe. I always have to remind myself to come back to those nice deep inhales and exhales, in through the nose, out through the nose. And then once you get that oil, get a good amount of oil, and then just start to work that into circles on the shoulder. Again, as long as you like on the shoulder, down into the elbow, can circle the joints, down into the forearm, into the hand and the wrist. I like to really work into the forearms, down into the wrist. You can come out each finger as you work down. And again, you can spend as much time as you like there. That circular motion, continuing to breathe. I usually have to reapply oil multiple times. Again, into the forearm. If you spend a lot of time writing or on computers, it's a really nice massage. Since I've been doing this, I've had a lot less pain in my forearms, hands, and wrists from all of the typing that I do. Again, into the hand, you can massage down the lines, down each of the fingers. Again, spending as much time as you like there. And can always kind of come back to the scalp and the face and work down. And then you can massage the chest, circles around the chest, the breast area. I like to do that and then move down onto my legs and then stand up to do the belly and hips, in part because once you start getting all oiled up, getting up and down can be a little bit trickier. And I do prefer the stomach standing rather than seated, where I learned it. So let's just come to the legs and we'll come back to the belly as the last thing. So the legs, we can do that same kind of tap down and up the legs. Again, breathing as we do that, letting that energy flow, circulation increase, and then just press, sweeping right down the legs. And again, lots of oil. I like to kind of work the outer legs, the IT band coming down with those circles. You can work down lines through the quadriceps. Can come down into the hamstrings, Again, more oil whenever you need it, circling through the knees, the front and the back of the knees. I'd like to come down again into those outer shin, that muscle right there, nice, tense. And again, just work through that. You can bring that to the calves. You can bring that down into the ankles, down into the feet. So we don't often actually think about giving ourselves a foot massage, but it's a really nice self-care practice. Again, more oil, you can massage the feet, spend a lot of time on the heel, the arches, down through each of the toes. Again, doing both of those feet. I like to keep my socks with me so that I can go put my socks back on after I finish that massage. And then taking your time to come up. Again, get nice and slippery when you've got that oil. And then, again, more oil. And then doing the belly and taking that right to left in circles and just massaging that path of digestion, massaging nice little circles there. More oil. I like to bring that to the low back and kind of come into the low back, down to the sacrum, out to the hips, and then around and circle through the hips. So this is something that you can do daily, and again, if you like that challenge for a month, try it out every day. Again, it's something that can be done on its own, after stretching, after exercising. If you don't like to be oiled up too much all day, then you can do that before you shower. I actually like to do it sometime during the day and then let that oil sink in and then take a shower later in the day. But again, all of these techniques are what is best for you, what works best for you, what helps to give you a little bit of attention, self-care, and self-love. So always continuing to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. If you add in some positive self-thinking and some self-love, especially during that massage, that can be really great as well. Use music that you enjoy and that helps you relax. And again, these are all things to play with, all things to, again, consult with your doctor beforehand if you need to do that. And then again, to listen to your body, to do what feels good to you, to take care of yourself, to keep on breathing. So thanks for joining me for these techniques. I hope that you play with them and find the ones that work for you.